Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? Thank you all for coming. Basically what we're going to be talking about is I'm doing a presentation on non-back-breaking backpacks. So basically getting your child back to school, making sure that their backpacks aren't causing any pain, making sure that they not only are having the right fitting backpack, but making sure that they're wearing it the right way as well. We're going to be talking about helping your child have a pain-free back this school year. Basically, is your child's backpack making the grade? So as you can see, very common. Our kids love to wear the backpack with that one strap, and they love to have the backpack as loaded up as they can. Some of the facts about backpack injury to me, they were a little shocking. So 55% of students carry more than the recommended amount of weight in their backpacks. So the national guideline says that we shouldn't carry around more than 10 to 15% of our body weight in a backpack. And as you can see, 55% are carrying over that. And not only are those 55% carrying over that, but they are carrying a lot more over that, closer to 25 to 30% of their body weight. And the students for the age group in this study were ages 5 to 14. So your basic elementary to middle schoolers. The next fun fact here is that studies have shown that 64% of children actually suffer from back pain. So this was assessed using just a numerical scale, basically talking with children, 0 being no pain, 10 being mom, dad, take me to the emergency room. And they found out that 64% of school-aged children, 5 to 14, were having anywhere from 4 to 6 on a pain scale. So that makes it very significant. The other fun fact is that nearly 13,000 emergency room visits were estimated to be related to backpacks in the year 2003. So that was about 10 years ago. So you can imagine that number's probably gone up a little bit. So why is this important? It's important not only because we don't want our kids to be in pain, but let's think about the long-term effects and the long-term issues here. One of the biggest long-term issues, and something that we've all gone through in school, is scoliosis. So all of the kids go through this scoliosis screening in school, and one of the things that we don't really realize is that a minor scoliosis, or something that maybe could have been undetected through physical examination, can actually be exacerbated or made worse if you are using a backpack in the improper way. Why does that happen? Well, basically, if you're wearing a heavy backpack, you are going to cause your muscles to work harder, your ligaments to stretch, and you're going to increase just basically the overall fatigue on your back and on your body. As those muscles and everything fatigue, and biomechanically we don't have the same strength as we normally should, your structures are going to start to fail. And what happens when they fail is they go towards their point of weakness. So scoliosis, we have the curves. So as you can see, the bottom picture down here, we have these S curves in the spine. That's the basic definition of scoliosis. And as these children wear these heavy backpacks, it basically causes an increase in the symptoms that they're already having. So you can create excessive forces. Also, in a child who's been diagnosed with scoliosis, whether it's minor, moderate, or severe, we don't want them to put any type of heavy weight in their back or their shoulders. So those are a few of the sort of long-term issues with wearing a heavy backpack that maybe, when the child is 9 or 10, you don't really think about. What are signs of back pain? So how do we know that our kid is having back pain or that they are hurting? So a few things that you can ask your child are, do your fingers tingle at all? Do they feel like they're falling asleep sometimes when you're wearing your backpack or walking home from your bus stop or walking in the hallway? Do your shoulders hurt? Does your back hurt? Does your neck hurt? These are all sort of obviously very obvious questions to ask, but sometimes we don't really think about asking our child about that, or sometimes our child doesn't even know to tell us that these things are hurting. They're going to just say they're tired or they don't feel good, and we automatically think, oh, they must have a fever or something else must be going on. Another very good question to ask is, do you feel tired at the end of the day? Do you feel like you don't want to go outside and play, or do you feel like you can't sit down, they just want to lay down and watch TV? These are all kind of symptoms of our back muscles and our shoulder muscles having to work too hard throughout the day. So these are all signs of back pain. So some of the visual signs are going to be changes in your child's posture while they are wearing their backpack. So in this bottom picture right here, you can see the picture on the right. That's a child with good, excellent posture, wearing their backpack, doing very well. The picture on the left is showing a kid who, well, his backpack's probably a little too heavy. He's having to lean forward, those shoulders are coming down, his neck's going forward. Those are all signs that his backpack is probably too heavy for him. When their posture changes, your posture should be the same both in standing with a backpack and both without a backpack. Another thing is difficulty putting their pack on or off. So do they have to really struggle to put their backpack on, or is it an easy process for them to put that backpack on? Are they having to use both hands, or can they pick it up with one hand? These are some signs that a backpack may be too heavy. Another sign is red marks. So when they take their backpack off, are their neck and shoulders really red? You know, that's a sign of increased pressure or too much pressure being in a certain area. While there are things that backpacks do to sort of alleviate that by having padding and things like that, red marks should not last for longer than a minute after taking the backpack off. So if these red marks are hanging around for a little bit after they take their pack off, it's way too heavy. Another thing is the leaning forward with walking, so that's sort of related to the posture, and that's a very common compensation for a backpack being too heavy. And the other thing is holding your hands under the shoulder straps. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean the backpack's too heavy, the kid might just trying to be looking cool. But sometimes if the backpack's too heavy, they will actually use their hands and their arms to pull the backpack up on their back and give it a little bit more support. So what are some of the key features we can look for when we're buying our kid their new backpack for the school year? Lightweight, wide straps, good back support, plenty of compartments, and is it the right size? So we're going to go into a little bit more detail on all these, but these are probably the 5 most common features, easy features for you to go through and check out. So the first one, lightweight. This is kind of the no-brainer. You want the backpack to be as light as possible, as little weight in there as possible. This is easily the main problem and easily the easiest thing to fix. So this is something that cannot be understated, cannot be overstated, is that if your kid is carrying too many books back and forth between school, then you have a problem. You either need to contact the teacher and talk about, okay, can I have a copy of this book at home? Or is this something that they can keep at school? Or what is something else that we can do for this? Another thing is your kid carrying around unnecessary things? So are they carrying around every notebook for their classes all day long? Or is there a place they can put a few of their notebooks for a class that maybe they have later in the day, and a place they can put their earlier notebooks for later in the day? Decreasing the weight is going to decrease that stress. So you want to basically get rid of all the unnecessary things. And on this next slide, we have a chart. This chart is just a basic little guideline as far as how heavy the backpack should be based on how big the child is. And so you can see that it goes up the weight by 5 pounds per weight group, and the weight groups go up by 25 pounds till that last group. And another thing that was very interesting is that nobody, no matter what age the student is, all the way through college, should not have a backpack that weighs more than 25 pounds. You know, school backpacks are not designed traditionally to carry any more weight than 25 pounds. You know, a hiking backpack is designed, it has plenty of straps on it, has all the needed accessories for you to carry heavier weight than that. School backpacks are not designed in that fashion. All right, so the next thing is the straps. A lot of backpacks are going to have shoulder straps, waist straps. They're gonna have all kinds of little clicky things, and you know, a lot of kids might think these are cool accessories, but some of them can be used for good, some of them for bad. Another thing that's very important about your straps is that not only do you use both straps on your shoulders, so you can see in the picture here we're one strapping it, which we know is the really cool thing to do, but this is one of the worst things you can do with a backpack. You can see how that just puts a curve in the spine right there. Whether that backpack's heavy or not, a backpack can weigh 5 pounds, and it's going to put that curve in the spine and increase the stress there. The other thing is that you want really wide straps. So you want those straps to be at least 2 inches wide. So the wide strap is going to help to sort of disperse those forces throughout the shoulder musculature. So the more muscles that are being involved, the less pressure and the less load it's going to put. So this is a very key feature. Another thing is the padding. So you want those straps to have a lot of padding in them. That padding is going to help to disperse those forces through. So it'd be no different than if you were to fall. If you were going to fall on concrete or if you were going to fall on a rubber floor, which one would hurt worse? It'd be the concrete because you have less padding. So that padding is going to help to keep those forces from being applied too strongly onto the back. Another thing, and these are kind of bonus things, are the waist straps. It has been brought to my attention that you should only use these straps while in a safe school setting for the purposes of stranger danger. Because if you have these straps on and you're walking around outside, it's very easy for a little child to be grabbed by their backpack, and if they're strapped in with all these straps, well, now they can just be carried away. But in a nice safe setting, being in school, having those chest straps and those waist straps attached will help to sort of bring those forces to other areas. So getting the forces lower in the body towards those hip muscles and those low back muscles, which are a lot stronger than those upper shoulder muscles, or at least allowing those lower muscles to aid in the whole process. Padding in that back part, or the lumbar padding, is very important, and it's very practical. If you think about it, if you're uncomfortable, you're going to walk differently, or you're going to stand differently with a backpack on. If that backpack, especially that lower part, has lots of padding in it, then you're going to be more comfortable and more likely to stay in good posture. So having that padding will help with that. It also helps to keep, just like in the shoulders, it helps to keep those pressure points down. So rather than having things poking into you and really applying a lot of pressure, having the padding will help to disperse those forces. So this is typically referred to as the lumbar support of a backpack. All right, the next category, your compartments. So your compartments help for keeping things organized, A, and B, they help to keep things from moving around. So if you have a lot of loose things in your backpack and your kid's running around, running to the bus or running off the bus or walking around the hallways and they're playing tag and they're doing whatever whenever those teachers aren't looking, you know, those things in the backpack, if they aren't in the right compartments, are going to be moving around. As they move around, they cause what we call dynamic forces. Dynamic forces basically just mean moving forces. Those moving forces are putting extra stress on the muscles. So if we can keep things in a more static position or in a more hold-fast position, it's going to help to keep the backpack from shifting its load around. Another great thing about compartments is it allows you to place your items from heaviest first. So putting heavy items closer to your back and lowest in the backpack. So this is going to decrease what we call the lever arm, or decreasing the amount of stress that's placed away from the body. So keeping that weight close to the body is going to make it easier on the child to carry that weight around. All right, so the size of the backpack. So how do you make sure that your child has the right size backpack? So we know that the style is very important. Is it an Iron Man, a Hulk? But does it fit my child the right way? This is probably the second most important thing after keeping the backpack lightweight. So the backpack should not be bigger than the child's back. If the backpack is bigger than the child's back, then obviously now we are putting those forces away from the body, or we are increasing that lever arm again. So we're going to make it harder for the kid to carry those books around. The other two important things are the shoulder height and how low does the backpack sit on the back. So for the shoulder height, you don't want it to be any more than 1 to 2 inches below the shoulder. Or if possible, you want it to be even with the shoulders as far as the top of the backpack. The bottom of the backpack, we don't want any lower than 4 inches from the waistline. The waistline is not where you wear your pants. The waistline is the top of your hips. So if you feel for your hip bones, it's the top of your hip, or usually pretty close to the belly button. So you don't want that backpack to be 4 inches below that point. So that's going to help to keep everything nice and compact, nice and square within the lumbar musculature and within your upper back musculature, and that's going to allow those muscles to work as best as possible. So this is an example of a fitting chart, and the two things here is you can see we have the shoulder line. So this is what I was talking about as far as you don't want the backpack to be more than 1 to 2 inches below that line. And then we have the waistline. So you don't want it to be more than 4 inches below this. So you can see it runs right through the belly button there. Hip line, that's about where those hips are. Over here to the right, we have the average child size, and this is basically just a quick estimate. So if you obviously don't have a tape measure when you're in the store with your kid, who has that, or who has the time to do that in a store, this is just a quick guide for you to say, okay, my kid is 10 years old, so I want a backpack that's 15 inches tall and 8 inches wide. So this is just a quick little cheat sheet for you to be able to check it out and see what is probably in the ballpark the right size backpack for my child. let's get on to what is the right position. So now we have the right backpack. It fits well, it's got plenty of padding, everything's going great, but what is the right way for my child to wear this backpack? First and foremost, you want those shoulder straps to be nice and tight, and you want them to be right at that shoulder height. So the straps do no good if they're too loose and they're hanging down. So getting back towards our fitting. So if the backpack was designed to fit 2 inches at the shoulders and 4 inches below the waist, then that's how it needs to be worn. So you want your child to be in an upright posture with no compensations noted. So compensations being leaning forward or having rounded shoulders or their head being slumped down, or hip flexion, so getting excessively leaning forward. These are the type of things you want to look for. These are 2 pictures of probably the 2 most common poor positioning ways of wearing a backpack. So we've got the one strap, and then we've got the hanging too low. So everybody's seen the kids, and when they're running and their backpack's bouncing up and down on their butt while they're running with their backpack. That is a perfect classic example of their backpack hanging way too low. So that means that those shoulder straps either need to be tightened or the backpack is too big. Those are probably going to be 2 of the reasons why the backpack hangs too low. The other one, the one strap, this is more of a fashion statement than anything else. And this is something that you just basically need to talk with your child with and explain to them that this is not the right way to wear your backpack. So how to lighten up the load. Basically wearing both shoulder straps, so that's going to help to lighten up the load. Putting the backpack on and off with care. You want to avoid twisting to put your backpack on, or sort of struggling. If your child is struggling to put the backpack on, then they need to be taught the right way to put their pack on. The right way to do it would be to bend your knees, grab the backpack with both hands, and then put one arm at a time through the straps. So sort of that running by, grabbing it with one hand and slinging it over the shoulder is not the right way to do it. All that's going to do is that's going to increase the twisting in your back, and it's going to cause the muscles to sort of spasm up. Another thing is keeping those shoulder straps tight, so not having any slack in them. Only carrying what you need in your backpack, so getting rid of the excess. Placing those heavy items close to your back. And then one of the options that I talked about before is try to keep a set of books at home. So decreasing the amount of books that are having to be carried back and forth. Well, how can I prevent injury? So one of the things you can do, and these can be fun, is exercise. So a few of the fun exercises you can do with your child, this is if they are having back pain as well, is promote exercise with them, especially extension. So this is a picture of extension. And what you want to do is this is sort of means like leaning back. So you can have them laying on the ground, face flat, and have them push up with their hands. And this is a great way to sort of stretch out those anterior muscles and allow those back muscles to relax. Another thing you can do are doorway stretches. So doorway stretches are going to stretch out those anterior muscles as well and keep them from getting too tight. Another common thing is sleeping habits. So a lot of times we tend to sleep on our stomachs, and sleeping on your stomach while very comfortable is not a very good posture at all. So you want to try to sleep on your back as much as possible. Now kids, we know, are very hard. They sleep in the craziest positions you can think of. But one way to get them to sleep more on their back is to place pillows around them. So you can place pillows under their knees, or if they are prone to sleep on their side, get them used to having a pillow in between their knees when they lay on their side. So these are a few of the ways to sort of get your child to sleep in a better way. The other thing is just wearing your backpack properly. If you wear your backpack the right way, it should not cause back pain, and it will not cause back pain. All right, so in review, it's important to wear both shoulder straps. Can't say that enough. Put heavier items close to you and at the bottom of the backpack. Choose a backpack with thick shoulder padding and thick lumbar padding. Have it fit the right way. So the shoulder, 1 inch at the shoulders, 4 inches below the waist. Lighten up your load, doing all those tips that I gave you as far as lightening up the load. Using your compartments wisely. Another thing is recognizing when your child's backpack is too heavy. So going back and using your postural awareness now and using those questions, just asking your kid, do they have a tired back or does their back hurt at the end of the day? So doing all these things will help to overall decrease your child's pain, help them have a nice fun school year, one where they're active and they're not worried about being one of those 13,000 going to the emergency room, and letting them get the best experience that they can out of it. This has been a Smart Body presentation. My name is Ryland. I'm a physical therapist here. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Have a good night.